Leviticus chapter 10. Nadab and Abihu were two of Aaron's sons, but they disobeyed the Lord by burning incense to him on a fire pan, when they were not supposed to. Suddenly the Lord sent fiery flames and burned them to death. Then Moses told Aaron that this was exactly what the Lord had meant when he said, "I demand respect for my priests, and I will be praised by everyone." Aaron was speechless. Moses sent for Mishael and Elzaphan, the two sons of Aaron's uncle Uzziel. Then he told them, "Take these two dead relatives of yours outside the camp far from the entrance to the sacred tent." So they dragged the dead men away by their clothes. Then Moses told Aaron and his other two sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, "Don't show your sorrow by messing up your hair and tearing your priestly clothes, or the Lord will get angry. He will kill the three of you and punish everyone else. It's all right for your relatives, the people of Israel, to mourn for those he destroyed by fire. But you are the Lord's chosen priests, and you must not leave the sacred tent, or you will die." Aaron and his two sons obeyed Moses. The Lord said to Aaron, "When you or your sons enter the sacred tent, you must never drink beer or wine. If you do, you will die right there. This law will never change. You must learn the difference between what is holy and what isn't holy, and between the clean and the unclean. You must also teach the people of Israel everything that I commanded Moses to say to them." Moses told Aaron and his two sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, "The grain sacrifice that was offered to give thanks to the Lord is very holy. So make bread without yeast from the part that wasn't sent up in smoke and eat it beside the altar. The Lord has said that this belongs to you and your sons, and that it must be eaten in a holy place. But the choice ribs and the hind leg that were lifted up may be eaten by your entire family, as long as you do so in an acceptable place. These parts are yours from the sacrifices that the people offer to ask the Lord's blessing. This is what the Lord has commanded, and it will never change. But the choice ribs and the hind leg that were lifted up may be eaten by your entire family, as long as you do so in an acceptable place. These parts are yours from the sacrifices that the people offer to ask the Lord's blessing. This is what the Lord has commanded, and it will never change." When Moses asked around and learned that the ram for the sin sacrifice had already been burned on the altar, he became angry with Eleazar and Ithamar and said, "Why didn't you eat the meat from this sacrifice in an acceptable place? It is very holy, and the Lord has given you this sacrifice to remove Israel's sin and guilt. Whenever an animal's blood isn't brought into the sacred tent, I commanded you to eat its meat in an acceptable place, but you burned it instead." Their father Aaron replied, "Today 2 of my sons offered the sacrifice for sin and the sacrifice to please the Lord, and look what has happened to me. Would the Lord have approved if I had eaten the sacrifice for sin?" Moses was satisfied with Aaron's reply. Leviticus chapter 16. 2 of Aaron's sons had already lost their lives for disobeying the Lord, so the Lord told Moses to say to Aaron, "I, the Lord, appear in a cloud over the place of mercy on the sacred chest, which is behind the inside curtain of the sacred tent. And I warn you not to go there except at the proper time. Otherwise, you will die." 2 of Aaron's sons had already lost their lives for disobeying the Lord, so the Lord told Moses to say to Aaron, "I, the Lord, appear in a cloud over the place of mercy on the sacred chest, which is behind the inside curtain of the sacred tent. And I warn you not to go there except at the proper time. Otherwise, you will die. Before entering this most holy place, you must offer a bull as a sacrifice for your sins and a ram as a sacrifice to please me. You will take a bath and put on the sacred linen clothes, including the underwear, the robe, the sash, and the turban. Then the community of Israel will bring you a ram and 2 goats, both of them males. The goats are to be used as sacrifices for sin, and the ram is to be used as a sacrifice to please me. Aaron, you must offer the bull as a sacrifice of forgiveness for your own sins and for the sins of your family. Then you will lead the 2 goats into my presence at the front of the sacred tent, where I will show you which goat will be sacrificed to me and which one will be sent into the desert to the demon Azazel. After you offer the first goat as a sacrifice for sin, the other one must be presented to me alive, before you send it into the desert to take away the sins of the people. You must offer the bull as a sacrifice to ask forgiveness for your own sins and for the sins of your family. Then you will take a fire pan of live coals from the bronze altar, together with 2 handfuls of finely ground incense, into the most holy place. There you will present them to me by placing the incense on the coals, so that the place of mercy will be covered with a cloud of smoke. Do this, or you will die right there. Next, use a finger to sprinkle some of the blood on the place of mercy, which is on the lid of the sacred chest, then sprinkle blood 7 times in front of the chest. Aaron, you must next sacrifice the goat for the sins of the people, and you must sprinkle its blood inside the most holy place, just as you did with the blood of the bull. By doing this, you will take away the sins that make both the most holy place and the people of Israel unclean. Do the same for the sacred tent, which is here among the people. Only you are allowed in the sacred tent from the time you enter until the time you come out. After leaving the tent, you will purify the bronze altar by smearing each of its 4 corners with some of the blood from the bull and from the goat. Use a finger to sprinkle the altar 7 times with the blood, and it will be completely clean from the sins of the people. After you have purified the most holy place, the sacred tent, and the bronze altar, you must bring the live goat to the front of the tent. There you will lay your hands on its head, while confessing every sin the people have committed, and you will appoint someone to lead the goat into the desert, so that it can take away their sins. Finally, this goat that carries the heavy burden of Israel's sins must be released deep in the desert. Aaron, after this you must go inside the sacred tent, take a bath, put on your regular priestly clothes, and leave there the clothes you put on before entering the most holy place. Then you will come out and offer sacrifices to please me and sacrifices for your sins and for the sins of the people. Aaron, after this you must go inside the sacred tent, take a bath, put on your regular priestly clothes, and leave there the clothes you put on before entering the most holy place. Then you will come out and offer sacrifices to please me and sacrifices for your sins and for the sins of the people. The fat from these sacrifices for sin must be sent up in smoke on the bronze altar. The one who led the goat into the desert and sent it off to the demon Azazel must take a bath and wash his clothes before coming back into camp. The remains of the bull and the goat whose blood was taken into the most holy place must be taken outside the camp and burned. And whoever does this must take a bath and change clothes before coming back into camp. On the 10th day of the 7th month of each year, you must go without eating to show sorrow for your sins, and no one, including foreigners who live among you, is allowed to work. This is the day on which the sacrifice for the forgiveness of your sins will be made in my presence, and from now on, it must be celebrated each year. Go without eating and make this a day of complete rest just like the Sabbath. The high priest must offer the sacrifices for cleansing from sin, while wearing the sacred linen clothes. He will offer these sacrifices for the most holy place, the sacred tent, the bronze altar, all the priests, and for the whole community. You must celebrate this day each year. It is the great day of forgiveness for all the sins of the people of Israel. Moses did exactly as the Lord had commanded. Numbers chapter 5 verses 5 to 10. The Lord told Moses to say to the community of Israel, "If any of you commit a crime against someone, you have sinned against me. You must confess your guilt and pay the victim in full for whatever damage has been done, plus a fine of 20%. If the victim has no relative who can accept this money, it belongs to me and will be paid to the priest. In addition to that payment, you must take a ram for the priest to sacrifice so your sin will be forgiven. When you make a donation to the sacred tent, that money belongs only to the priest, and each priest will keep what is given to him. When you make a donation to the sacred tent, that money belongs only to the priest, and each priest will keep what is given to him.